Imagine this scene in vivid detail. London, a bustling metropolis known for its resilience, found itself under siege as a formidable 30 centimetres of snow descended in one extraordinary night. This wasn't an ordinary snowstorm. It was a relentless onslaught that transformed the cityscape into a frozen tableau. Big Ben, the iconic heart of the city, stood immobilized, its renowned hands helplessly constrained by the overwhelming accumulation of snow. It was an eerie sight, one that stopped time itself for the faithful clock, which for so long had been the symbol of enduring British resolve. Its silence echoed through the city, leaving Londoners in awe. As if the snowstorm weren't enough, a couple of days later, nature unleashed even more fury. Ferocious winds barreled into Scotland with such force that they seemed to mimic the aftermath of an explosion. This was not merely a regular winter. It was an extraordinary meteorological event that would etch itself into the annals of British history, the infamous winter of 1967 to 1968. During these tumultuous weeks in January, the nation was painfully reminded of the might of nature, which disregarded illusions of safety and control. The ominous drama began unobtrusively in early January 1968. People navigated the blustery streets of England, shrugging off the familiar chill, ready to face the predictable dreariness of winter. However, on the 8th of January, everything changed. Snow began cascading across southern and central England, not as ephemeral flakes but as a persistent and intense deluge. Driven by unyielding southeast winds, this barrage of snow refused to relent. By the dawn of the 9th, much of England lay buried under a vast blanket. Snow drifts ascended to staggering heights, reaching up to 3 metres in some areas, while parts of mid-Wales recorded snow levels of 30 centimetres. Roads became indistinguishable from fields, railways were entombed in white, and isolated villages found themselves cut off from the world. London fell victim to a truly rare spectacle. Big Ben, synonymous with British punctuality and steadfastness, stopped. The once reliable timekeeper's hands came to an abrupt halt at 6:28 in the morning as snow accumulated beyond the capacity of the clock faces, rendering them immobile. For nearly 4 hours, the clock remained in this frozen stasis. Those crossing Westminster Bridge couldn't believe their eyes as they gazed at the silent, grey dials, questioning how something so steadfast could be struck down by mere weather. This moment became emblematic of vulnerability, prompting reflection. If Big Ben could succumb to nature, what else might be at risk? The snowstorm of January 8th and 9th brought a swift cessation to normal life. The city's transport system ceased to function, with trains lifeless on their tracks and buses forsaking their routes. Schools were shuttered, factories ceased operations, and families awoke to find their world encased in ice, their windows frosted from within and milk bottles frozen solid on the stoop. Streets became impassable, their surfaces buried beneath towering heaps of snow, concealing cars and deterring movement. This was no picturesque snowfall from a holiday card. It was an isolating, perilous endeavour. Those who dared to brave the elements spoke of a wind so biting that no garment could shield them. Snowdrifts sealed off entire roads, stranding motorists in their vehicles for hours on end. Some trudged miles through waist-deep snow to find assistance. Yet, in characteristic fashion, Britain demonstrated resilience. In true British spirit, fueled by stubborn determination and a hot cup of tea, neighbours banded together. Strangers offered assistance in digging out vehicles, and postal workers remained steadfast in their duties, even if the snow hindered reaching every doorstep. Life inevitably slowed, but it did not come to a standstill. Just as the nation began rallying to clear paths and catch their breath, a greater threat was brewing. Out in the vast, tumultuous Atlantic, a storm of monumental proportions loomed. By January 13th, meteorologists observed unsettling signs of what would become the next chapter in this relentless winter saga, the Great Storm. A low-pressure system developed near Bermuda, initially causing no alarm as such patterns are not uncommon in that region. However, this particular system defied expectations with its unusual behavior. Instead of dissipating or slowly moving, it started its journey northward, skirting the Azores, while still presenting as a relatively weak and seemingly innocuous system. But then, in a rapid and dramatic transformation over the course of less than a day, it intensified significantly. The storm's pressure plummeted by a staggering 50 millibars, a change that in meteorological terms signifies the birth of an extremely powerful storm, an absolute beast of nature. It surged across the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean at a remarkable pace, heading with astonishing precision towards Scotland. Initially, where the forecasters predicted it would veer to the north, safely bypassing the mainland. However, this storm did not adhere to those predictions. On the night of January 14th, a sudden alteration in its path occurred. It took an unexpected eastward turn, setting a direct course for Scotland's central belt. By the time experts realised the impending danger, it was too late to issue effective warnings or prepare adequately for the disaster that was about to unfold. As the calendar turned to January 15th, 1968, most residents were deep in slumber, cocooned in the peace of night, unaware of the impending catastrophe. Families lay quietly in their beds, enveloped in silence under the night sky. Then, abruptly, at approximately 3 in the morning, the atmosphere shifted as the storm made landfall. It struck Glasgow with formidable force, unleashing winds exceeding 100 miles per hour, winds of hurricane strength tearing through the urban landscape. Such an intense and violent atmospheric assault on a metropolitan area was unprecedented for Scotland, marking an event that would be etched into the annals of the nation's weather history. Roofs were torn off buildings as if they were mere sheets of paper caught in a gale, leaving the structures beneath them bare and vulnerable. Massive chimney stacks, each weighing around 3 tons and comprised of solid masonry, toppled with destructive force, crashing down through tenement roofs. These mighty structures did not stop their descent until they obliterated everything in their path, all the way to the lower basements. As violent gusts of wind shattered windows and collapsed entire walls, mature trees that had stood for decades snapped in two like fragile matchsticks. In an instant, the city was swallowed by darkness as power lines were ripped from their posts, plunging entire neighbourhoods into chaos. A Glasgow police spokesman aptly described the scene as absolute havoc, a phrase that fell short of capturing the enormity of the catastrophe. Families awoke to find themselves in living nightmares. On Dunbarton Road, a mother and her 4-year-old daughter met a tragic end while visiting from England, only in town to attend a funeral. A chimney succumbed to the force of the storm, collapsed through their roof and claimed their lives as they lay sleeping. Heartbreakingly, next door, another mother and her 10-year-old daughter perished in an identical calamity. Rescuers took a grueling 12 hours to find their remains amidst heaps of debris, a testament to the storm's ferocity. Throughout Glasgow, such harrowing tales became all too common. In a grievous incident, a pregnant nurse lost her life as masonry crashed into her flat, ending what should have been a promising new chapter in her life. A 5-year-old girl in Anderson, a gentleman in Charing Cross, a woman in Cross Hill. The death toll continued its merciless climb, each name representing a cherished life lost. By the night's end, 20 souls had perished throughout Scotland, 9 of them in Glasgow alone. The death toll, however, was just one facet of the storm's devastating impact. The relentless tempest left more than 300 homes in Glasgow utterly obliterated, while an additional 70,000 homes were damaged, with half of the city's council houses severely impacted. Even Edinburgh wasn't spared. The city's iconic Scott Monument suffered significant damage as one of its towering pinnacles was lost. The storm inflicted its wrath indiscriminately, damaging churches, schools, factories. No structure, no matter its significance, was left untouched. The destruction was reminiscent of the Clydebank Blitz during World War II, a night when German bombers razed the area to the ground. Yet, on this occasion, there were no enemies, no bombers, just the unyielding power of nature's wind. In the countryside, reports from the Forestry Commission painted a bleak picture. 8,000 hectares of woodland were destroyed, with over 1,000 mature trees toppled in the central belt alone. The River Clyde witnessed the sinking of 7 ships, while an oil drilling rig named Sequest was set adrift, helpless in the turbulent sea. Beyond the coasts, the storm's wrath reached foreign shores. In Denmark, 8 more lives were claimed by the storm. As dawn broke on January 15th, the true extent of the devastation was obscured, with many coming to terms with the apocalyptic scenes that greeted them. Residents emerged dazed from their homes, stepping into streets littered with rubble, vehicles buried beneath the ruins of fallen masonry, bent and buckled lamp posts bearing testament to the storm's might. The air was thick with dust, mixed with the acrid smell of destroyed buildings, an olfactory reminder of the chaos that had unfolded. This was Scotland's most calamitous natural disaster since records began, striking without warning and with unparalleled ferocity. The human toll was overwhelming. Beyond the 20 who succumbed to the storm's immediate onslaught, another 30 would lose their lives in subsequent weeks. Roofers, builders, and ordinary citizens striving to repair homes fell victim to the structures they sought to mend, their lives extinguished by collapsing walls and roofs. The storm left 700 individuals homeless instantly, while thousands more lived in houses with makeshift repairs, holes inadequately covered by flapping tarpaulins that offered little respite from the relentless wind and rain. In a desperate move to provide shelter, hospitals relinquished mattresses, enabling families to sleep in makeshift quarters such as school halls. Churches flung open their doors, and community centres were transformed into shelters. The government's response, however, was criticised for its inadequacy. Harold Wilson's Labour government extended a financial aid package, but it was a loan, an interest-free sum of $500,000, rather than a grant, falling short of what many believed was needed in such a dire situation. Amid a staggering estimate of $30 million in damages, it was deeply frustrating for the affected that the response seemed inadequate and dismissive. Just a year prior, the Torrey Canyon oil tanker disaster near Land's End received an immediate allocation of $1.5 million. The contrast was stark, highlighting a perceived neglect of Scotland, a region positioned 400 miles from the heart of London. The national press scarcely covered the catastrophic hurricane that wreaked havoc on a major Scottish city, relegating the story to the back pages in England. This oversight left many Scots feeling forgotten and overlooked by their own government. However, the Scottish community's response to the disaster was nothing short of remarkable and showcased a resilient spirit. In an act of solidarity, 150 soldiers were dispatched from Edinburgh to assist with the monumental clean-up efforts. Renowned singer Frankie Vaughan stepped up to support, organising a benefit concert at the historic Alhambra Theatre, raising crucial funds for those in need. The storm ignited a sense of camaraderie among residents. People who had exchanged hardly more than polite greetings were now joined in purpose, working hand in hand to clear the debris that cluttered their lives. Homes were opened to strangers who found themselves suddenly houseless, embodying the spirit of hospitality and compassion. Amidst the chaos, the community remained composed. There was no frenzy, no unlawful taking of goods, only a quiet, steadfast resolve to rebuild. This was Scotland, where individuals rolled up their sleeves, picked up the scattered pieces, and mended what was broken, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. It was a testament to the unyielding nature of the people, an unspoken oath to carry on, despite the odds. The devastating storms of January 1968 left a profound impact not just on the landscape, but also paved the way for advancements in weather forecasting, ensuring better preparedness for future disasters. This tragic event, while a moment of sorrow, also became a catalyst for change, inspiring action to prevent such destruction from repeating unchecked. Through the fog of despair rose a clearer vision for a safer tomorrow. The Met Office, in the wake of their glaring oversight in forecasting the storm's trajectory, poured resources into advancing their technology, refining their predictive models, and enhancing their warning systems. This commitment led to significant changes in building regulations. Structures were compelled to have sturdier roofs and were designed to withstand extreme winds. Glasgow City Council seized the opportunity presented by the disaster to expedite long-desired housing improvements. The outdated and deteriorating tenements, which had succumbed so readily to the storm, were earmarked for demolition. Plans for new housing estates were set into motion, breathing new life into the cityscape. Despite the horror it inflicted, the storm acted as a fulcrum for progress and renovation. However, for those who endured its wrath, these transformations could not undo the past. They could not bring back the 20 lives lost on that fateful night. They could not erase the haunting recollections of awakening to ruins where homes once stood, to streets and neighbourhoods rendered unrecognisable, to a city left in tatters. Speak to anyone who witnessed those harrowing events, and they will recount the ominous sounds. The wind's thunderous roar akin to a freight train barreling through the night, the sharp, echoing crack of timber snapping, the thunderous crash as buildings crumbled. Equally vivid in their memories is the unnerving quiet that followed, the eerie stillness that enveloped Glasgow at dawn the next morning. They remember the pungent odours that permeated the air, the fine grit of dust, the acrid scent of broken plaster, the earthy smell of dampened wood, all combining to create the distinct aroma of devastation. The winter of 1967 to 1968 defies easy categorization. It wasn't Britain's coldest winter on record, nor was it the snowiest, yet it stands out as possibly the most relentlessly violent. The country faced two catastrophic events within a fortnight. First came the blizzard, which gripped the south in an icy embrace, followed by the storm that wreaked havoc in the north. For a stretch of days in January, Britain was starkly reminded of nature's indifference to human aspirations, predictions, and assurances. When nature decides to assert its power, when the winds rise and the snow falls unchecked, humans are reduced to mere survival. The notorious Great Freeze of 1963 claims its place in history's spotlight. The winter of discontent in 1979 garners more discussion. Yet, the winter of 1968 remains indelibly etched in Scotland's collective memory. It was the winter a storm struck without preamble, altering everything in mere hours. The winter that demonstrated how even the indomitable Big Ben was susceptible to freeze.